Hey everybody, it's Coach Jason. Hope you're doing well. Hope you all enjoy the 4th of July, wonderful 4th of July weekend with your friends and your loved ones. Today I'm going to talk about returning to running from sickness versus returning to running from injury. There's certain similarities, there's certain differences, but I want to be a little bit more forceful in pointing certain things out because far too often do I see coaches, and I'm not pointing any specific names, or areas where programs or teams will prioritize league meet points, or we have to race them a certain amount or whatever, versus the development and the health of their athletes. To me, that's detrimental, but that's my opinion. It's up to you as a coach or athlete to decide what's best for you and your athletes, okay? But this is why I want to emphasize this, because there's a lot of things that can be overlooked and in some cases are overlooked. And I want to point this stuff out. So please let me know what you think. Load up the comments, give me your feedback. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, we're on the road to 3,000 subs. We're trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the year. Come along for the ride. Enjoy the content, and it's greatly appreciated, and it means the world to see that you all find the content valuable. I thank you all for it. And I've got fully detailed training. If you haven't seen it, from half mile all the way up to the marathon, every level. Got summer-based training programs. I got all different types of stuff here. And I'm not only a coach for 20 years, I'm also a USATF certified coach and a Wharton trained and certified musculoskeletal flexibility therapist too. So like I said before, running fast is not the only priority I have. Is keeping you healthy as well. Okay, and engage is another priority too. So with that, let's get to this. Returning from sickness. Let's get to that first. So there's a lot of different ideas, but here's my general philosophy. And this is something I've also modified and updated over the years as well. Learning from a lot of the top coaches. If you have a cold, obviously you can shrink. You have to scale it back, okay? And until symptoms are gone, at that point you can start to ramp up the volume and intensity again. Not at the same time. We don't want to ramp up volume and intensity at the same time. That's a rule of thumb. One and then the other, okay? And school progression, periodizations, keeping you healthy is important. So now, being cold, you can, and I have a certain workout that I have distance runners do, because if you're scheduled for whatever, have a mile repeats or whatever it is that day, and they're feeling sick or have a head cold, I scale it back and I just have them do 200 meter repeats at 3K pace with a minute recovery. As many as they feel comfortable, 10, 12, whatever. Just a basic workout just to keep the body moving in a way that's not going to make their symptoms worse or trigger a fever, okay? And obviously if they're promoting good rest and they're fueling and sleeping and hydrating and all that stuff, those are important things too, most definitely. So, but you can train if you have a cold. You just have to scale it back. It's up to you to decide how much you want to scale back. I generally scale it back probably about 50 to 60% of full capacity. So, but you do it as you feel is most appropriate. Now, if you have a fever, and this is something I've learned, and I got to give a shout out to Coach Mike Hernandez from St. Francis Prep in Queens, New York, because he's inspired me to do this video. And I also have to give a shout out to the late Coach George Colano from the Collegiate School, also in Manhattan, who's one of the better coaches in New York City for a long time. And we were talking about this a while back. And the rule of thumb, and I followed this ever since he's talking about it. If you have a fever, it's an automatic off day. 24 hours. You come back in 24 hours, you reevaluate, check the temperature again. If the fever's gone, you can ease back into training. Okay, because I've also seen, somebody do a great workout. Let's just use Tuesday, Friday as an example, like I use in my programs. Have a great workout Tuesday, and then Tuesday night you get a fever. It's gone Wednesday, but I've seen a lot of people say they'll skip Wednesday, they'll skip Thursday, and they'll come back on Friday and have to, want to do another workout. That's probably one of the worst things you could do. You're not going to make up what you lost, no matter what. And the workout's probably not the ideal situation to put yourself in. You want to ease back into running. But however many days you miss, if you miss 2 days, you go easy 2 days, and then you can ramp up intensity again at that point. If you miss 3 days, 3 days of regular running until you're back into a groove. The last thing you want to do is turn a 3 to 4 day cold into a 10 to 14 day injury. It's the last thing you want to do. And again, you do not need to make up for what's gone. Consider those cold days or whatever off the rest days. Okay, your body's telling you it needs to scale back, it needs to rest and recover. Listen to it, okay? So don't worry if you miss a workout or two. It's not going to hurt you, okay? Get back, focus on getting healthy and getting back into your groove. You'll get back into shape as well. So the flu, automatic. Fever, automatic, off day, reevaluate the next day. As long as there's no fever, you can go back to running. If there's a fever the next day, it's an automatic off day. So, and that's kind of a rule of thumb as well. If you have, whether it be COVID or something bad, something even more serious or something contagious, obviously you want to follow the appropriate guidelines, either the CDC or whatever health guidelines you need to follow to either quarantine or isolate or get yourself better too. But make sure you follow those guidelines until you're no longer positive, and then you can ease back into running. Don't worry about workouts. You just ease back into running, feel healthy, and then you can ramp things up again. Okay? Again, you don't want to turn a short-term sickness into a long-term injury. There's no need to do it. So listen to your body, listen to your athletes, listen to your coaches, listen to each other. Okay? I can't emphasize that enough. And again, I've seen too many people, they either over-race their athletes, and they'll prioritize league meet points over the health. No. Again, I'm just saying that. That's just me. It's not what I would encourage or recommend. But other people, they're free to do whatever they want to do, whatever they feel is best. But you take with whatever's in here, you take what you will. Okay? And give me your feedback in the comments, whether you agree or not. I want to know what you think, coach or an athlete. Okay? Now, that's sickness. Okay, and again, see a doctor if you feel it's necessary. If you have chest pains, if you shortness of breath, you feel dizzy, breathing problems, see a doctor. Make sure he or she gives you the green light before you can start running again. Okay, take the appropriate healthcare and medical steps to make sure you're healthy first. Okay, your health is most important. Now let's move over to injury. Coming back from injury is a little different. Okay. And obviously, you want to slowly phase back into things as well. So I can't emphasize enough on both sides. Be patient coming back from either one or both. Okay? Make sure the pain has gone away, okay, before you can start phasing and running again. And then be realistic, too. If it takes you weeks, it takes you weeks. Whatever, it takes you months, We'll get to that, too. It takes you days, it takes you days. It depends on how the severity of your injury and whatever else it might be. Okay? So, don't worry about what you missed. Okay, focus on coming back so you can come back even stronger than before. Okay, and again, not to tie in injury and illness, but this is just tying in injury and injury. Last thing you want is a minor injury to come back too quickly and turn into a major injury. You want to avoid that too. So this is where communication between the athlete and the coaches is important. This is where coaching with the eyes is important, not only the stopwatch. Okay, just real stuff for you folks. Okay, real stuff here. Not beating around the bush when it comes to this, because it's very important as a coach that we keep our athletes healthy, okay, and happy. So now, some numbers. If you miss up to 5 days, you take the equal amount of days. Okay? I mentioned earlier. If you miss 3 days, you take 3 easy days back. If you miss 5 days, you come back 5 easy days back before you start ramping things up. Okay. If you miss more than that, 6 to 10, you take about your first half of it. You got about 50% of the volume. And then you work your way up to 100% volume for the second half of those days. You get yourself back to where you were volume-wise before you start intensity stuff. Get back to your optimal volume, or the volume that you were before you start ramping things up. You can add some strides in the second part of it. That's fine. But be smart about your training volume. Okay? Now, if you miss up to let's just say 28 days, half it is about 50% volume. The second half, you build up to 100% volume. Again, over time. And before workouts. Don't even worry about workouts or hard stuff. Get back up, infuse strides into the second half fit. Get to that point before you start increasing hard stuff, before you start implementing hard stuff, okay? If you miss up to 8 weeks, similar. Take the first 2 weeks at about a third of the volume. So let's say your volume's at 60 miles. Take the first 2 weeks up to about 20 miles. Next 3 weeks, weeks 3, 4, 5, up to maybe 40 miles, 2/3. And then the last 3 weeks to get up to 60 where you were. And that's 8 weeks. Similar to a summer base training program. Get up to 6 to 8 weeks of basic running before you start to incorporate or test yourself. Minimum. Be smart, okay? If you miss more than that, then if you miss months or whatever, due to whatever it might be, tear, fracture, you got to ease yourself back in at least an equal amount of time. You miss 2 months, you ease yourself back into 2 months of easy training. You miss 3 months, 3 months of easy training before consider it a summer-based training program. You start to gradually get up to your volume first, and you can phase in other things. And look at my summer training programs on this channel. I gradually phase in stuff, speed development and all this other stuff in phase 2 and in phase 3, a little bit of intensity. So it gets you to where your fitness needs to be, and it also prepares you to test yourself before racing. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any other things you want to incorporate or suggest, put them in the comments. Reach out to me directly, blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. Especially runners and coaches. I'd love to have you as a guest on the channel if you want to talk about stuff. Okay, especially training programs and whatever it might be. So just train smart, be smart as well. And again, come along for the ride and subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated, and I want to make sure that you're getting some good stuff out of this channel. Have a great week. Train smart, train hard. Talk to you next time.